Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a point in life when every single one of us is forced to stare into the mirror and confront the question that defines our destiny. Do I truly believe in myself? Not in some shallow, motivational cliche sense. I mean in the raw, unshakable, tested, battle-hardened way that endures failure, criticism, setbacks, and the voices of doubt, both from the outside world and from within our own minds. That is the line between those who live quietly in regret and those who dare to win, to build, to create, to lead, to leave something behind. And let me tell you this straight, you are going to win. Not because the world is fair, not because luck will someday stumble into your lap. You are going to win because belief in yourself is the single most powerful neurological tool you will ever have access to. It rewires your brain, it conditions your body, it transforms your perception of adversity. This isn't abstract theory, this is neuroscience. Biology, psychology, and the undeniable evidence of history rolled into one. I've spent years studying how the brain works under stress, how human beings unlock resilience, and how people rise when logic says they should have collapsed. And here is the truth. The mind doesn't operate based on reality alone. It operates based on the story you believe about reality. Two people can face the exact same setback. One collapses, the other grows stronger. The difference isn't circumstance. The difference is belief. Let me share a story. During the Second World War, in prisoner of war camps, thousands of men suffered in brutal conditions. Many starved, many gave up, many lost the will to fight. But there were also those who survived, who somehow endured. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and survivor of Auschwitz, wrote about it. He noticed something extraordinary. The men who held on weren't necessarily the strongest physically. They weren't always the most resourceful. The ones who survived had a belief. Belief that their suffering had meaning. Belief that their life had purpose. Belief that they could endure until liberation. Their bodies followed the command of their minds. Where others saw no way forward, belief carved out a reason to take one more step. Now let's bring this to your life. You might not be standing behind barbed wire, but some of you feel like prisoners of your own failures. Prisoners of debt, prisoners of other people's opinions, prisoners of the idea that you've missed your chance. But that's just a prison of your own thoughts. Your belief system is either the key that unlocks the door or the lock that keeps you chained. Science proves this. In neuroscience, we call it neuroplasticity. The brain is not static. It rewires itself based on what you repeatedly think, what you choose to focus on. If every day you reinforce doubt, if every day you tell yourself, I'm not capable, I'm not ready, I'll probably fail, your brain literally builds neural highways that strengthen that belief. Doubt becomes your operating system. But if you reverse it, if you repeat, live, and act on the belief that you will win, your brain shifts. The chemistry changes, dopamine levels rise with each step of progress. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and long-term vision, lights up more effectively. Your mind begins to anticipate success rather than guard against failure. It's not just about psychology, it's physiology. Athletes know this. I once worked with a young sprinter who was physically talented but mentally paralyzed by comparison. Every race, she looked at her competitors, saw their records, and shrank. Her body would tighten, her stride would shorten, her breathing would quicken. Not because she wasn't capable, but because her brain told her she wasn't good enough. We changed one thing, her belief narrative. Every morning, she had to visualize herself winning, not in some fake, half-hearted way, but in vivid, neuroscientifically structured visualization. She had to feel the crowd, hear the starting gun, sense her body exploding forward, and see herself crossing forward. Within months, her times improved. Not because her legs suddenly grew stronger, but because her belief shifted how her brain commanded her body. She eventually became a national champion. Now here's the problem. Most of you don't believe in yourselves at that level. And you know why? Because you've been programmed not to. From childhood, the world feeds you doubt. Teachers tell you to be realistic. Parents, though they love you, warn you not to aim too high so you won't be disappointed. Friends laugh when you share a dream that stretches beyond the ordinary. Bit by bit, the flame of belief inside you gets dimmed, and you start lowering your expectations to match the mediocrity around you. But here's the catch. Lowering your belief doesn't protect you from disappointment. It guarantees it. It ensures you'll never know what you're actually capable of. You will never test your limits if you keep telling yourself you don't have what it takes. And then you'll spend your life wondering what could have been. That regret is far heavier than failure. Let me tell you about failure for a second. Failure is nothing but feedback. Your brain is wired to learn through trial and error. A child learning to walk falls hundreds of times. Do they give up? No. They don't even conceptualize failure. They only have belief. I am meant to walk. And eventually they do. But you, grown adults, fall once, maybe twice, and then declare it's over. That's not failure, that's quitting. And quitting is the only thing that rewires your brain for permanent defeat. I've seen entrepreneurs bankrupt themselves, lose everything, and still rebuild because they refuse to let belief die. I've seen cancer patients given months to live who defied every prognosis, not because of medicine alone, but because they believed they would live, and belief activated parts of their immune system that the body otherwise leaves dormant. The placebo effect isn't just a medical trick. It's scientific proof that belief can heal, extend life, and alter biology. So when I say you are going to win, I mean it literally. But it starts here inside your skull. If you don't command belief, if you don't take ownership of the narrative playing in your mind, no strategy, no mentor, no external force can save you. The strongest force in your life is the story you keep telling yourself. Some of you are sitting here with dreams so big they scare you. Good. Dreams are supposed to terrify you. That fear is a sign you're operating outside your comfort zone where growth happens. The mistake is thinking fear means stop. No, fear means you're on the edge of transformation. And belief is what carries you through that threshold. Ladies and gentlemen, you are far more powerful than you realize. Your brain is not a fixed machine. It is adaptable, rewritable, reprogrammable. And if you program it with the belief that you are destined to win, then every obstacle becomes fuel. Every setback becomes training. Every failure becomes feedback. Every victory becomes confirmation. And let me tell you something else. You don't need anyone else to validate your belief. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for applause. Stop waiting for a sign. The sign is that you are alive, breathing, and capable of thought. That is enough. History's greatest leaders, inventors, artists, warriors, none of them started with the world's belief. They started with their own. The Wright brothers believed man could fly when the world laughed at them. It was on their own. The Wright brothers believed that the world could fly when the world laughed at them. Thomas Edison believed he could create light after 1,000 failed experiments. Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest long before he ever won a title. Belief came first, results followed. Now I want you to ask yourself right now, what belief have you been suppressing? What dream have you buried because it didn't seem realistic? What story have you told yourself that has kept you small? Because I'm here to tell you, you're not small, you're not weak, you're not destined for mediocrity. You are going to win, but only if you start believing it before anyone else does. And when people doubt you, and they will, remember this, their doubt is not about you, it's about them. It's about their own limitations, their own fears, their own lack of belief. Don't let their small minds infect your big vision. Protect your belief like your life depends on it, because it does. Your brain is waiting for a command. Your body is waiting for a signal. Your future is waiting for a leader. That leader is you. Every single one of you has untapped reserves of potential locked inside, and belief is the key that unleashes them. The science is undeniable. When you believe in your capacity to win, your brain releases neurotransmitters that sharpen focus, increase energy, and heighten resilience. Dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine, the chemicals of motivation, confidence, and drive, begin to surge in your system. And these aren't just fleeting feelings. They condition your brain and body into a state of readiness, preparing you for challenges in a way that doubt never could. Think of the great explorers, Christopher Columbus set out across the Atlantic when people still believed the world was flat. He didn't have certainty, he had belief. Think of Marie Curie, working in a world where women weren't supposed to be scientists. She didn't have acceptance, she had belief. Think of Nelson Mandela, locked in a cell for 27 years, stripped of freedom, comfort, and power. What kept him alive? What kept him strong? Belief. Belief that one day he would lead his people into freedom. Belief that his suffering was not the end, but the preparation. Belief that he was destined to win. You see the pattern? Greatness doesn't start with resources. It doesn't start with luck. It doesn't even start with skill. Greatness begins with belief. And belief must come before the evidence, before the applause, before the world has any reason to agree with you. If you wait for evidence to believe, you'll never begin. But if you believe before evidence, you'll create the evidence yourself. Let me take you deeper into the science of it. There's a principle called expectancy theory. It states that your brain and body perform in alignment with what you expect to happen. If you expect failure, your subconscious mind will subtly sabotage your effort. Your posture changes. Your tone weakens. Your energy drops. You unconsciously confirm your own prophecy. But if you expect success, your subconscious mind recruits every resource to fulfill that outcome. Muscles respond faster. Cognition sharpens. Creativity opens up. This is not philosophy, it's biology. Your nervous system doesn't just respond to reality. It responds to expectation. And expectation is born of belief. Now think about how this plays out in everyday life. A student walking into an exam with the belief I'm going to fail will interpret every difficult question as proof of failure. Panic sets in, memory recall shuts down, and they spiral. Another student with the belief I will figure this out approach the same questions differently. They breathe, slow down, scan their memory, find connections, and suddenly recall information they didn't even know they remembered. Same brain, same preparation. The difference? Belief. The same applies to business. I once advised a young entrepreneur who was building a startup. He had a brilliant idea, but no investors. Every pitch he delivered was laced with insecurity. He doubted himself, and investors sensed it. They didn't reject the business plan. They rejected the lack of belief in the man presenting it. After working together, I told him, until you believe in your company like it's already worth $1 billion, no one else will. He changed his tone, his presence, his conviction. The next round of pitches, investors leaned in. Why? Because belief is contagious. Confidence is magnetic, and within a year, he secured the capital he needed. Same idea, same man, different belief, different outcome. But here's where most people fail. They think belief is a feeling. It's not. Belief is a decision. Feelings follow decisions, not the other way around. If you wait until you feel confident, you'll never move. Confidence comes from action repeated through belief. You must choose to believe, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when doubt screams in your ear, even when everything around you tells you otherwise. Belief is a discipline, a practice, a relentless commitment. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you truly bet on yourself? Not in a safe, comfortable way. I'm talking about staking your energy, your time, your reputation on a vision that no one else could see. Most people never do. They play it safe, they hedge their bets, they tell themselves they'll believe after things start working. But life doesn't reward safety. Life rewards courage, and courage is the child of belief. Now some of you are thinking, but what if I fail? What if I believe and it doesn't work out? Let me flip the question. What if you don't believe and you never even try? What if you spend your life in quiet resignation, watching others pass you by, knowing deep down you had the same potential but never activated it? That's the greater tragedy. Failure is temporary, regret is permanent. History doesn't remember the doubters. History remembers the believers. The ones who looked at impossible odds and still said, why not me? The ones who dared to move forward when logic said retreat. The ones who carried themselves like winners long before the scoreboard proved it. And you know what else belief does? It changes how others see you. Human beings are wired with mirror neurons, cells in the brain that reflect the emotions and intentions of the people around us. When you walk into a room believing you are destined to win, people feel it. They may not consciously understand it, but their brains mirror your conviction. They treat you differently. Opportunities open, doors unlocked, not because the world suddenly changed, but because your belief changed the way the world responded to you. But you have to understand, belief doesn't mean the road will be easy. It doesn't mean you won't face setbacks. It means you'll refuse to let setbacks define you. Think about Thomas Edison. He was asked once, after 1,000 failed attempts at the light bulb, how he kept going. He said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. I discovered 1,000 ways it didn't work." That's belief. That's the mindset of a winner. You're not defined by how many times you fall. You're defined by how many times you rise with belief intact. And that's why I'm telling you, you are going to win. Not because winning is guaranteed, but because belief will keep you in the fight long enough until winning becomes inevitable. The people who lose are not the ones who failed. They are the ones who stop believing. So I challenge you today, stop rehearsing your doubts. Stop feeding your fears. Stop living as though belief is something that might happen to you if the stars align. Belief is a choice. And the moment you choose it, truly choose it, you begin the transformation. Because one day you will look back on this moment and realize it wasn't luck, it wasn't timing, it wasn't resources that determined your success. It was the moment you decided once and for all to believe in yourself without compromise. And when that day comes, when you are standing in the middle of the life you once only imagined, you'll remember that this victory wasn't born the day you achieved it. It was born the day you believed it.